I'm so ready, man. I'm like Hunter Biden.
You're already live, dude. That's why we say TikTok, time to rock.
Oh, oops. Yeah.
Doctor late. Oh, yeah, it's 11 minutes. Yeah, we're 11 minutes late. Wonder who tuned in at the last second.
I was here on time.
You were here 30 seconds before we were supposed to go live. No, we're good.
Well,
We're
yes.
chatting. We're chatting up a storm. Chatting up a storm about Sheikh Uthman, and we're sharing links, ladies and gentlemen. You got to share links.
The Honorable Sheikh Uthman. Yeah.
The super truthful, always honest champion of integrity, Sheikh Uthman ibn Farooq, the guy they call Sheikh ibn Fibbin, Sheikh ibn Ketchup, Sheikh ibn Smollett, Sheikh ibn Footnote, and now Sheikh ibn Dietary Marks for not knowing what diacritical marks were and just kept saying dietary marks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, matter of fact, I should put the Thaddeus, remind me if you see this to put the link to your video on the dietary marks in the pinned comments, because this just keeps getting better and better. Hey, AP.
Yes, that's me.
Have you noticed that the Dawa guys, not talking about Muslims in general, the Dawa guys in particular, seem to be really, really comfortable lying? Have you noticed that?
That sounds a little bit Islamophobic when you say it like that. I wouldn't say that they lie. They don't have a habit of lying. That's a very big accusation. But as far as I can see it, yes, they lie very often, all the time. So
It's very interesting. The closest parallel is Andrew Tate, who also is in the Dawa crowd, sort of. But I mean, he was like this beforehand, so it's not Islam didn't make him like this. It's seems like he chose Islam because this is acceptable here. But it's just amazing because, I mean, when you play a clip of Andrew Tate saying, "I never sold drugs," and then you play another clip of him, multiple clips, a bunch of clips of him. Yeah, when I sold drugs, yeah, I sold drugs, yeah, I sold drugs, but I didn't like it, blah blah blah, because you get into dangerous situations and so on, blah blah blah. Um, it's like anyone with a functioning brain, even if you're his biggest fan in the universe, you can tell he's lying. It's obvious that he's lying. He was either lying then, saying that he sold drugs, or he's lying now, saying he never sold drugs. Either way, he's got to be lying. And it just doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother them that he's lying. They don't care. And as long as you're on Team Tate, as long as you're one of the tater tots, you can sit here and watch him lie 50 times in a row, 100 times in a row, 1,000 times in a row. They just don't care. As long as he's, saying, "Oh, but I'm the top G and it's the Matrix," then they just don't care. And you see the same thing with the Dawa guys, only with the Dawa guys, it's a little different. With Tate, it's, the entire universe revolves around him. So if he has to lie to help himself, then he does. With the Dawa guys, it really seems to be, if you ever trace their reasoning back, the closest thing you get to what their actual reasoning is from Ali Dawa, when he said that he converted based on the scientific miracles, which he now acknowledges was completely fabricated and bogus and his words, absolute nonsense. But he says it's good in that that's what Allah used to convert him to Islam. So Allah uses the lies of the Dawa guys to get people to convert, and they view it as good. Like, hey, if we're lying and we tell a bunch of lies, but that gets you to Islam and you go to a paradise and you spend eternity deflowering virgins, the lies were all worth it, man. The lies were all worth it. That's the closest thing I can get to what their actual reasoning is.
the lies are actually the hikmah of this whole situation. So lying is hikmah. Lying for hikmah is hikmah, and getting lied to is hikmah. Getting lied into Islam is hikmah. It's always hikmah, and that's actually what makes Islam so great. And this is actually a miracle about Islam. This is what makes Islam special, and this actually shows again that Islam is true, because with any other religion, people don't really dare to lie. They don't lie very much. The lies are exposed by their own people, uh, and the lies often don't work. But with Islam, lies are, despite being so fragile, despite being a house of cards, they work very much, and they build a solid foundation. How is this possible? It's a miracle, and this again shows that Islam is very miraculous and unique.
Powerful, powerful. So from Issa here we have Uthman lied yet again, saying the San Diego Tribune reported on his police report and said they contacted him. The article reported on his video, in which case he was claiming this, and said Uthman never returned their calls to speak. So, I mean, this isn't even really what we're talking about. We're talking about him lying about, my goodness, go down the list of things we're about to cover. We're going to cover him lying about, age of Rebecca, of course, when she married Isaac, but that's all connected to lying about Abraham and Isaac. So Abraham and Isaac and Rebecca, all right there. And Mary's going to lie about the age of Mary, and Aisha going to lie about, so it doesn't matter. You can lie about Islam. You can lie about the Bible. You can lie about the Quran. It doesn't matter. As long as it's done to win people to Islam, it's all good.
Alhamdulillah.
All right. Should we go ahead and check some of this out?
Yeah.
Are you ready to have your mind blown by the amazing evidence?
Let us be exposed to the beauty and greatness of the one true religion.
Okay, guys. Now I saw this clip, and I sort of skimmed through it. The part we're going to, it's a longer clip. He then goes on to say that Jews and rabbis and so on approve of child marriage and so on. The part we're looking at is the part where he actually claims to piece together a case that Rebecca was 3 years old when Isaac married her. So we're going to, now he says, hey, write this down. So I'm actually going to write it down because, guys, every time one of the Dawa guys says to do something like this, he's always lying. And the followers are always either too completely gullible or too stupid to actually sit down and write the stuff down and take a look at it.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, we ready?
Hold on. Orthodox Gal said, guys, I've never seen Sheikh Yabudi and AP in the same room. I see what you're insinuating there. That
No,
somehow...
Sheikh Yabudi would chop your head off.
Yeah, I see what you're insinuating there, Orthodox Gal, but this just sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory to me.
Yeah, it
and
is.
I don't, you shouldn't spend too much thought on this, acting like you have discovered some great facts here that I and Sheikh Yabudi are somehow, the same people or something like that. This is very disrespectful.
Yeah, people have stupid conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Next she'll be out. Oh, there was no moon landing. Landing. It was all done in a studio.
Yeah.
And AP is Sheikh Yabudi. Come on, be realistic here.
Yeah.
All right, we ready to check some of this out?
Yes.
It's going to be powerful stuff. It's Sheikh Uthman, so you know your mind's going to be blown. By the way, you remember this? How long ago was this? But it was funny because one of the first things I saw was his tweet, of course, where he was saying that that non-Muslims, once Muslims are powerful enough, non-Muslims have to be killed and their wives and children enslaved or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent that out. And then he was asked about it. Eventually someone asked about it during a live stream, and he said, yeah, when I wrote that, you see, it was in the context of this, and we were talking about something else. And yeah. People don't look at the context of what I meant when I said that. And then people kept pushing and so on. And then I asked him about it. And then he said, no. That was an intern. An intern said that. An intern who was writing as me on my Twitter page and claiming to be me. He said that. But, don't worry. We took care of that. We took down the tweet. And it's the same thing with Andrew Tate. It's like, okay, were you lying when you said you sent it? Because you did. You were on the live stream. You said yes when I said that. Or were you lying later on to cover it up? In which case were you lying? And his fans just don't care. They're like Tate fans. But and watch, we'll go ahead and see this because I'm sure there are going to be some Sheikh Uthman fans in the chat, and we're going to expose multiple lies. I don't mean multiple disagreements. I mean, multiple flat out indisputable lies. And we can look at Sheikh Uthman's fans in the chat. Not one, I guarantee you, not one of them will care even slightly that this man is a compulsive liar. They just don't care. All right, let's go ahead and check this out. And guys, if you have access to something to write on, like I got a little pad. I got a little pad right here. Got a little notepad. Got a pen and a notepad. If you have a pen and a notepad, or a laptop or anything, something you can take notes down on, we're going to do what he says. He's going to tell us to take notes on this. Again, I haven't done it, but I'm about to do it right now. He's going to give us notes, and we're going to find that Rebecca was 3. He's going to do the math for us. And notice, if what he says does not actually give us an age of 3, then he's lying because he knows his fans are too dumb or too gullible to actually do the math. He knows the fans he's dealing with. Like Tate. Andrew Tate knows his fans. He knows he can lie right to their faces and they will not care. Sheikh Uthman knows his fans as well. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this.
Why do you look so much bigger than me?
What?
Why are you so much bigger than me? I look.
Why
like
don't you
Aisha.
zoom in or something? Got to zoom out and make myself all tiny?
Yeah.
Don't you have a zoom feature on your thing? You want me to zoom out? Okay, I'll zoom out because you don't want to look bigger than me. Oh, here we go. Oh, all right. That's as small as I can get. Is that good enough? It's as small as I can get. Great. Yeah, ruined our live stream late yet again. It's ruined by you and your pointless technical nonsense.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
So, Uthman clip, Rebecca. Here we go.
Genesis 17:17. You guys writing this down? Good.
What? Genesis 17:17. All right.
Sarah was 90 years old when Abraham was 100.
Okay. Everyone, you can be fact checking. I'm jotting this stuff down, but you can fact check. Some of this we don't need to fact check because I've been through it a million times. But go ahead and fact check this, and you can do the math here, because I'm predicting, again, I haven't done his math here. I'm predicting there's going to be a lie. I'm predicting that. So Sarah, 90.
I'm pretty sure I went through this a while ago on Twitter, but I don't really remember it anymore. So yeah.
I've gone through several examples of people trying to do the math. They always lie. They always lie about the closing passage of Genesis 22, or they just leave it out and state something from there as a fact. All right. So Genesis 17:17.
All right. Sarah was how old? 90. When Abraham was? And this is in Genesis 17:17.
Look, they're like they're all doing this.
Right? 17, not 70. 1717. Ibrahim alayhi salam, or Abraham, was 100 when Isaac or Ishaq was born. How old was he? 100 when Isaac was born, in accordance to Genesis 21:5.
Alhamdulillah.
Genesis 21:5. Okay. Sarah died at the age of 127, according to Genesis 23:1 and 2, verses 1 and 2. How old was she?
He did. How old was she? He stole that from me. How old was she? 9 years old. Right, let me back up a little bit. Let me back up a little bit here. We don't want to miss this. We might watch the entire clip again.
Okay. Sarah died at the age of 127, according to Genesis 23:1 and 2, verses 1 and 2.
Genesis 23:1
How
and 2.
old was she? 127 years of age when she died, according to Genesis, not according to Islam, just talking about the Bible here. Genesis 23, verses 1 and 2. Okay. Isaac, Ishaq, alayhi salam, was 40 years old when he married Rebecca, in accordance to Genesis 25:20. How old was he? 40. According to Genesis 25:20, giving you evidences for all of these. Sarah,
One second.
when he married Rebecca, in accordance. Okay.
Isaac,
Isaac
40,
Ishaq alayhi salam,
when he
was
married.
40 years old when he married Rebekah, in accordance to Genesis 25:20.
Genesis 25.
How old was he? 40. According to Genesis 25:20, giving you evidences for all of these. Sarah was 90 when Ishaq was born. How do we know that? Concluding from 1 and 2. If Sarah was 90 when Abraham was 100, and Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born, then how old was Sarah when Isaac was born? 90, right? Very clear. Ishaq or Isaac was 37 when his mother died, because 127 minus 90 equals what? 37. You guys with me?
Let's go back a little, just so everyone gets that.
Ishaq or Isaac was 37 when his mother died, because 127 minus 90 equals what? 37. You guys with me? You with me or no? You see the clear verses? Okay. You lost track? In number 3 that I mentioned, Sarah died at 127. And she was how old when Isaac was born? 90. So if you subtract 90 from 127, what do you get? 37. So that means Isaac, according to the Bible, was 37 when his mother Sarah died. Since Isaac was 37 when his mother died, and he was 37 when Rebekah was born.
Ah, right? There it is. Did you catch the lie?
I think
everyone catch that? Okay. Now notice he's giving sources. I'm saying this because they do this. They do this for people who are too gullible or too stupid to actually follow it.
Which one was the last verse that he mentioned?
He didn't. That's the point. Okay. That's the point. He just claimed it. What a liar, man. Okay. But notice what they'll do, right? I'm saying this because I've seen this over and over and over again. Look, Genesis 17:17. Sarah was 90, Abraham was 100. Genesis 21:5. Abraham was 100. Sarah died. She was 127. This is Genesis 23:1-2. Isaac was 40 when he married Rebekah. This is in Genesis 25:20. Sarah was 90 when Isaac was born. That's because if we put these two together, we get this. And Isaac was 37 when Sarah died, because we can do the math. And since Rebekah was born right when Sarah died, that's how we. Wait, what? Say what?
You don't really have that.
Say what, Sheikh? Where do you get that one from? Let's go back. Because look, he just says it this time. He just says it. He's given reference. And if you're looking, you're getting references on how old Sarah was. You're getting references on how old Abraham was. You're getting references on how old Isaac was. What's missing is how to tie all of this, any of this, to an age of Rebekah. How are you getting an age for Rebekah? You got Sarah, you got Abraham, you got Isaac. What are you missing if you want to say, here's how old Rebekah was? You need some sort of connector that when so-and-so was this old, that's when Rebekah was born, or something like that. And here is where Sheikh Uthman gave zero reference, because there is no reference for it. They just lie. Let's go back. Because maybe he's going to give it right after this. I don't know. But he makes the claim. Guys, those of you who are taking notes, where did he give the reference for his claim, which he's about to make? And this supposedly just ties it all together. That Rebekah is born when Sarah dies. Let's go ahead and check this out.
According to the Bible, was 37 when his mother Sarah died. Since Isaac was 37 when his mother died, and he was 37 when Rebekah was born.
What? Where you get that?
Right?
So he's 37. He's 37 when Rebekah dies. When Sarah dies, he's 37 when Rebekah is born. Where are you getting the claim that Isaac was 37 when Rebekah was born? Sheikh Uthman fans, chapter and verse. Very simple. Chapter and verse. She was born when he was 37. It's very simple. He gave chapter and verses for everything else. He gave chapter and verses for all the other stuff. Where's the chapter and verse? Obviously, maybe he forgot to give it. So I'll give you guys the opportunity, chapter and verse, saying that Rebekah was born when Isaac was 37. And therefore, that since he was married when he was 40, she would have been 3 years old. Go ahead. You're Sheikh Uthman fans. You must have done the math. I mean, he told you to take notes on all this and do the math and figure it out. So obviously, you guys did the difficult work of actually looking up these passages and looking up what he said. Where is it?
It's what's happening here is very simple actually, and this is he's just repeating what goes around on these on the same like meme that is just written down and distributed on social media, but all that meme often says, by which he goes, is that as soon as Rebecca's birth is mentioned, on the next chapter we read that Sarah dies, but so we have Genesis 22, and at the end of it is just Rebecca. The name Rebecca is mentioned as one of the children.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the next page, you have Sarah dying, but there is no connection at all. There is no explanation as to when she was born and how old she was when Sarah died. There is none of that. This is just an inference that these people are making without any basis at all.
And so, what do we do with this? I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to do something fun with this. Guys, remind me later on. Remind me later on to tell you the funny thing I'm going to do with this. Because I'm going to forget later on. I might forget. But I'm going to do something fun with this. All right. So Tech Guy says, David, it's Matt verse 39. There he's making fun of Sneeko. No, it's Book of the Council of Nicaea, chapter 3, verse 27. Young Christian's Thought said, I just realized Uthman is calling a 3-year-old girl stronger than Andrew Tate. Hang on, let me Google this. I've done this in the past, but so she waters like Rebecca waters like 10 camels. How much water? How much can a camel drink?
They'll tell you that 3-year-olds were different back then. They were very strong.
53 gallons of water in 3 minutes. A typical camel. This is from West Texas A&M University. It's the first thing that pops up when you look. A typical camel can drink 200 liters, 53 gallons of water in 3 minutes. So 53 gallons of water. She watered 10 camels, I think. And so, this little girl lugged over 500 gallons of water back and forth. And yes, that would be stronger than even top G Andrew Tate.
Well, back then, it was a different environment and a different time. Back then, girls used to age much faster and get much stronger, which is why a 3-year-old girl was much stronger than top G today. That explains it, of course.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and finish out this clip. But notice, guys, nothing... I don't know what to do when I really don't know what to do when fans are this dumb. Guys, I mean, anyone can do this. Anyone, if I wanted to say that Aisha was an infant when Muhammad had sex with her, I could just say, oh, look, this hadith, this says that Muhammad was, 53 when this happened. And this page over here says that this, and this page, oh, yeah, see, therefore she was a baby. Like, wouldn't you want to actually sit down and do the math and make sure that I'm quoting this accurately? Anyone could just give a bunch of references and claim that something follows from the references. If you don't have the actual brain power or the integrity to look through this and make sure that the conclusion actually follows from the premises that led up to it, you're basically begging for someone like Sheikh Uthman to come along and lie to you. You're the sort of person he looks for.
This is something very important to actually to bring up, because this reminds me of a clip that exists of Sheikh Uthman talking about the age of Aisha, where he goes on this long speech on how the age of Aisha is mentioned in different sources in the hadiths, but we cannot exactly be sure how old she was when she got married, and we cannot be exactly sure how old she was when it was consummated, because one source says she was 7, the other source says she was 9, one says she was 6, one says she was 9 at consummation, the other says 8. So how do we exactly know? And there are conflicting reports, and we take the most likely explanation, but we still don't know. He makes these he explains how it is is a huge speculation and just a guess, and historians differ on it, despite having some Sahih hadiths on Aisha's age, which the scholars for over 1,000 years have called Sahih, have called authentic. But then here he comes without any source at all on Rebecca's marriage and goes, "Oh, she was 3 years old." Wow, man, the hypocrisy.
Yeah, this is massive hypocrisy. So yeah, he is a denier of the age of Aisha, even though we have dozens, and in fact there are hundreds if you include the sources that haven't been translated. There are actually over 200 sources reporting the age of Aisha. He apparently denies all of that, and then lies about Rebecca to get an age of 3. And notice, I mean, he had notes there. He had notes. So all that's missing was that source, that neat little source saying that Rebecca was born when Isaac was 37. And where do they get that? You already pointed it out, but we'll go ahead and take a look at the passage. Here you go. So this is at the end of Genesis 22. So you have the passage about the Abraham and Isaac here. And then at the end of all this, you get this little comment that Abraham finally gets some news from home. He's been away from his family for a long, long time, and he hears some news. And notice it says, sometime later, Abraham was told, Milcah is also a mother. She has borne sons to your brother Nahor. Uz the firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlap, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Milcah bore these 8 sons to Abraham's brother Nahor. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also had sons, Teba, Gehem, Tehash, and Malkah. So in order to get an age, you have to say, Rebekah and all these other people were born right now, right when Abraham heard about it. This isn't Abraham hearing some news. Hey, here's all your relatives who've been born while you're gone. And they were born over a period of time. It's nope. Abraham he got the email. He got the email right when it happened. Hey, all these people were born. And that's when they were born. That's how you tie it. That's how you supposedly tie it. Is that a good argument? No, that is one of the dumbest things ever argued by anyone. And keep in mind, Sheikh Uthman isn't the first one. He isn't the one to come up with it. There have been Jewish rabbis who made that same exact mistake in order to get an age of 3. They were contradicted by others who pointed out how stupid that is. But why are you zoomed in now? What the heck?
Why are you so small?
Look at your giant head. Look. Yeah. Yeah. Now what? What? All right.
All right.
I believe in equality here, so I'll put us on the same level. There we go. We good?
A weakling. Only weaklings believe in equality.
So that's what it's actually drawn from. And you always have to say, guys, you just have to be ready for this. They're going to keep lying as long as they can get away with lying. And their followers are never in 100 million years going to look up anything they say. Therefore, it's up to us to put it back in their faces. And so when Sheikh Uthman says something like this, you just have to sit down with his fans and say, okay, he showed this, he showed this, he showed this. Where did he show that? Where did he show how old Rebecca was? Where? Nowhere. He just said it. He just said it. He just made the claim. He could have said anything. Wow. Wow. Matter of fact, man.
And this is the beauty of Islam.
Yeah, we didn't need to go through this because he's already been exposed as, now you know why they call him, if you're new to this, now you know why they call him Sheikh ibn Fibbin. You call him Sheikh ibn Fibbin because he can't stop lying. And his followers just do not care. So here we go. This is the story of Isaac and Rebekah. Abraham was now, we'll zoom through this because it's a long passage. Abraham was now very old. The Lord had blessed him in every way. Anyway, Abraham wants a wife for his son Isaac, and he sends his servant. Servant says, what if the woman, notice, he's sending him for a woman. What if the woman is unwilling to come back with me? to this land. Shall I then take your son back to the country you came from? And Abraham says, no, don't take my son back there. Then the servant left, taking with him 10 of his master's camels loaded with all kinds of good things from his master. He sent out for Aram. Then he gets to the town. Then he prays. He's going to pray for a sign that he's got the right woman. And go ahead and look, daughters of the townspeople. May it be that when I say to a young woman, so he's looking for a young woman, he's not looking for a toddler. He's looking for a young woman, not a toddler. See it right there in the middle of the page? When I say to the young woman, please let your jar down that I may have a drink. And she says, drink, and I'll water your camels too. Very strange to have a 3-year-old offering to water your 10 camels, but that's Sheikh Uthman's story. Let's see. Before he had finished praying, Rebecca came out with her jar on her shoulder. So Rebecca fetches the water for the family. She was the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, who was the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor. The woman was wait, I thought she was a toddler. The woman was very beautiful. The toddler was very beautiful, a virgin. No man had ever slept with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up again. Pretty strong girl, because, jars weren't light back then. The servant hurried to meet her and said, please give me a little water from your jar. Drink, my lord, she said. She gave him a drink. After she had given him a drink, she said, I'll draw water for your camels too. 10 camels, and they could drink what? 53 gallons in 3 minutes each? Until they have had enough to drink. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the well to draw more water, and drew enough for all his camels. Without saying a word, the man watched, blah, 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 blah. When the camels had finished drinking. What are you laughing at?
This is so ridiculous. Imagine a 3-year-old.
Yeah, a 3-year-old. It's like hilarious, right? Verse 28, the young woman ran and told her mother's household about all these things. So anyway, guys.
My son is 3-year-old right now. And
my son's 5. My son's 5. And just the idea of him being out in the field, carrying his water jar. And then some guy shows up. And he's like, I'll water all 10 of your camels for you. Someone put that's 4,000 pounds. Oh, someone's doing the math and concluded that's 4,000 pounds. So notice, guys, the Bible doesn't say how old she was. It doesn't tell you. So all you have to go on is you can look a bit at like customs during the time, like when were people married back then? Or you can look at details from the text and say, okay, she's called a woman. She's called a woman. She's called a young woman. Woman, young woman. Woman, young woman. Not called little girl, not called toddler. Not called baby. She's called a young. And then you can look at the details describing what she's saying, how she speaks. Does she talk like a 3-year-old? And what she does. She's doing some chores. Does this sound like a chore? Watering 10 camels that can drink about 50 gallons each in 3 minutes. Does that sound like something that a 3-year-old would do? No. So you have no indication even slightly that you're dealing with a 3-year-old here. Sheikh Uthman claims it, and they all use the exact same stupid, absolutely deceptive claim that right when Abraham heard news from home, that's when Rebecca popped out of her mom's womb. That's right when it happened. Stupidest claim ever. Why? Why do they do this? Because they're liars.
My 3-year-old is like, Daddy, what are you doing? Daddy, where's Mommy? I want to go potty. And here they are talking about a 3-year-old girl doing all of these things. That's just amazing.
Hey, we're thirsty. Rebecca, go get the water for the entire family for the day. Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Oh, hey, yeah, sure. Okay, I will do that. Of course, that is my job. Yeah.
If you run into a guy with a ton of camels out there, just take care of them too. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. He.
This is so stupid.
And keep in mind, guys, why is all of this? Why is all of this happening? It's all happening because their default mode is when someone tells the truth about Muhammad, lie about them. When someone tells the truth about Muhammad, start lying about them. And that's how you get back at them. But notice Guys, these are guys who claim to respect prophets. They claim to respect Abraham. They claim to respect Isaac. And they will not hesitate to lie about Abraham. Because keep in mind, Abraham sent his servant to get this girl. Abraham sent his servant. So according to Muslims, Abraham sent his servant to get a 3-year-old. So Abraham was promoting pedophilia. And Isaac marries a 3-year-old. So Isaac, the prophet, was a pedophile, according to them. So in their effort to defend Muhammad from an accusation of being a pedophile because he had sex with a 9-year-old girl, well, we'll say that Abraham and Isaac were all pedophiles. And you guys respect the prophets, right? You guys respect the prophets. You would never say anything. You would never make stuff up about a prophet, right? Isn't that amazing, man? Isn't that amazing? True colors, man. True colors. I see your true colors shining through. Joel here says, by the time Isaac was being sacrificed, probably before the age of 12, Rebecca was already born. That is what Genesis 22:20 is trying to say. So he's saying that, you also have the idea. They make the claim because right after Genesis 22, you have the death of Sarah, and they claim, these are right next to each other. These things happened right after one another. And Joel here is saying that, well, Isaac was probably younger in that chapter, and that things have been telescoped a bit. Swiss Apologetics says he got it from a footnote he wrote himself, and a bottle of ketchup is next to him for the case of emergency to victimize himself if he gets called out. Oh boy, gosh. And it's just crazy. Like the more of a liar you are, the more instantly popular you become. But let's go ahead and finish this this first clip here. See if we're missing something.
Rebecca was born when Sarah died.
What? Where? Wait, what? Rebecca was born when Sarah died. Where are you getting that? You gave references for everything else, Sheikh. Where's the reference for that? Oh, there is none. You made that. Well, you didn't make that up. You got it from other people who made it up. But that's the point. You guys concoct the lie, and then you all share the lie while claiming to respect the prophets and lying about them simultaneously. Let's go ahead and catch the remainder of this.
He was 37 when his mother died, and he was 37 when Rebecca was born.
Oops, no reference.
Right? Because Rebecca was born when Sarah died.
What? Wait, what? He gave references for everything else except that. My goodness.
Not needed.
What does that mean?
Needed.
That means
it means that you're a liar.
Isaac was 40 when he married Rebecca. Huh? How old was he when she was born? 40. 37. He married her at 40.
Where was the reference that she was born when he was 37? Where was it? Oh, yeah. You made it up. You guys made it up. It's not in there. You can't give a reference because a reference doesn't exist. Again, any Sheikh Uthman fans in the chat, look it up, do your little Google search, go to your lame Muslim websites, find us the reference to what he just claimed. You can't. And the question is, why does it not bother you? Why doesn't it bother you that he just lied? Keep in mind, he's not lying to us. He's lying to his followers. He's lying to Muslims and telling them how to lie. Why does that not bother you? Why do you sit back and look, oh, he's lying to me and that's okay? Why? I want to know, because I don't get it. If someone were, if some guy that I looked up to as a sheikh or something like that, if I had the Christian equivalent, if I'm listening to a Christian apologist, a Christian theologian, a Christian guy, and he's just flat out lying to me, and I look it up, and it's this easy to expose the lie, and he's lying to me, I'm not going to be cool with that at all. AP, you're an atheist. You have no concept of morality or integrity. If you're following one of your atheist heroes like Richard Dawkins, and you catch him just flat out lying, what are you going to think about that?
I would think, why are you lying to me? That's what I would think. And
yeah, lie to them.
Yeah, that's what I would basically think. This is why Sheikh Booty is the only Muslim scholar that I trust, because he always tells the truth. I've never seen him lying.
He does. Yeah, I've never seen him talking to you and lying.
Yeah.
Here's Cedric. Cedric says, if there are signs, so he's talking about Daniel Hakikachu. So he's talking about if you had a 3-year-old and there were signs of precocious puberty, then it's fine as long as you get parental permission. Notice, guys, that's part of the reason why they see pedophilia everywhere. You've got people like Daniel Hakikachu thinking, hey, a girl can reach precocious puberty. A girl could reach precocious puberty at 3. And as long as you get parental permission, which the servant did, then it's all good. You can bone a 3-year-old girl. And then lo and behold, they find it when they go looking for it. Wow. And we're supposed to respect this. We're supposed to look at this and go, wow, what a great religion. We need to convert to this. Who would this appeal to? Who would this appeal to? You got a 3-year-old. As long as she gets precocious puberty, jump on top of her. Ha ha.
Okay, here's the issue, David. You like to criticize them and claim that they're lying, but can you prove that she was not 3 years old?
All you have to go on is the fact that if she was 3, she was basically She-Hulk. She was baby She-Hulk. So if you guys want to say that, she was baby She-Hulk.
Yeah, can you prove she was not She-Hulk?
Yeah, you need multiple things. You need, one, that she's basically got superpowers as a little girl, and you'd have to have the idea that Abraham would send his servant to get a 3-year-old. So this guy's got it built. So it's just understood among everyone that when you're looking for a bride, you're looking for a 3-year-old, because otherwise he wouldn't be looking for a little girl. So
older
that's
than
what
3
we're doing.
is of no use. Older than 3 is basically bad quality, disqualified. You have to go up to 3. That's what you go for. I guess that's what it looks like.
Jeffrey Anderson says, from Googling this a little, I ran into the idea that the rabbi who wrote it was trying to insult Arameans by claiming that if she was older than 3, her dad would have raped her. So he's saying the rabbi said it was only saying that she was 3 because he's insulting Arameans, saying, if she was older than that, you guys would have already raped her. But yeah, not something you actually find in the Bible. All right, so let's finish this clip. Let's see what he finishes with.
So Rebecca would be how old? 3 years old.
Look, they're all chanting it already. 3 years old, 3 years old. Based on what? Based on Sheikh Uthman's lie. This is what a good liar does, and he just trained everyone to run out and say 3 years old, so that when they encounter people who don't do the why? Because you're not. If you're just a regular Christian reading the Bible and so on, you're not trying to, let me figure out the age and do these numbers here. So when someone comes up to you and says, if you just look at Genesis 17, you combine that with this and combine that with that, and combine this with this, and combine this, she's 3 years old. And if you don't actually know where the deception comes in, you can miss it and not know any better. And so Sheikh Uthman wants his fans to take advantage of that. But in order to do that, he just lied to them. He just lied to all his fans to get them to go and lie for him.
Yeah.
That's
you
what
now have
is.
people go away from this speech, this beautiful little lecture that he gave. His students will now probably went away after that and thought, wow, I learned something new today. Hey, I learned something so interesting today. According to the Bible, Rebecca was 3 years old when Isaac married her. Did you know this? Mm-hmm. Wow, I just learned this today from Sheikh Uthman. He's always truthful. He tells us all of these things. Now we know this. Now we can finally use this as a response when they say Muhammad married a child.
Yeah, now we all know. Now we all know that Abraham promoted pedophilia and that Isaac promoted pedophilia. So that when we promote pedophilia, it's all perfect. It's all wonderful because everyone's a pedophile. Yeah. Everyone's a pedophile back then, guys. All our prophets are pedophiles as long as we lie about them. Except Muhammad, where you don't actually, you don't have to actually lie. But let me back this up slightly. Let's see what his conclusion is.
Rebecca. How old was he when she was born? 40. 37. He married her at 40. So Rebecca would be how old? 3 years old. It's all verses from the Bible itself.
Oh, nope. You didn't give
a
verse.
If you want to talk about child marriages, let's talk about it.
Now look at this. Look at this look on his face.
This is something to keep in your da'wah tool. If Christians bring up the age of Aisha radiallahu anha, tell them, okay, let's talk about the Bible.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Sheikh Uthman. How about you join us in a discussion and we talk about it? How
Welcome to
about
do
we
it.
talk
Welcome to
specifically about that?
Sheikh Uthman can join us anytime he wants to give us the chapter and verse that he conveniently left out because it doesn't exist.
Let's talk about it.
Let's go ahead and talk about that. But notice they ending there. This is something to keep in your Dawa tool bag for when Christians bring up the age of Aisha. Isn't it? And then you can flip it back on the Bible. So what's he saying? When Christians truthfully and accurately bring up objections about the age of Aisha, then you respond as Dawa, as part of your Dawa game. You respond by lying about Abraham, Isaac, and Rebecca. You do that. That's how you do it. You lie about them in response. And you do that. Why? Dawa, it's amazing. I mean, I've been saying for years, Dawa is deception. And like, how could they make it any clearer?
This is the quality of research that you can that Islamic scholars are engaged in. Sheikh Uthman basically goes on the internet and finds a meme that goes around of somebody putting this stuff together. The way that he just delivered all of the information, those supposed facts, are exactly like that, found on memes that are spread on social media, where people write the same thing in the same sequence down. He just basically repeated whatever he read on the internet without actually doing a proper research, a proper analysis, because it doesn't matter to him, because he's an Islamic scholar, and Islamic scholars don't need to research. They just need to sit down and read their old books and then repeat whatever they see on the internet or whatever they hear from left and right.
Mm-hmm. Benjamin here says, we recently had so many Muslims from the Middle East move to my neighborhood, and I'm trying to reach them with the gospel. So glad I found your channel in time. Dr. David Wood, God bless you. Yes, Benjamin, awesome opportunities are all over the place right now. Alex brings up another point, which we didn't really touch on, but Isaac isn't our moral example like Muhammad. That's another point. So notice, if Isaac had molested a child, we as Christians would not affirm that as good. We would say, wow, that guy did something messed up. We don't have this view of prophets as these like infallible beings. We don't have that, right? Isaac is not if Isaac went out and murdered and tortured a bunch of people and so on just for fun, we wouldn't look at that and say, oh, okay, that must be fun. Matter of fact, you can look at actual examples. King David had Uriah the Hittite murdered to cover up something that he had done, to cover up something that he himself, King David, had done. He had one of his buddies murdered. We don't say, oh, okay, therefore it's okay to murder your buddy to cover up what you've done. We don't do that. We say King David was a sinner, and God uses even horrible sinners sometimes. So even if Isaac had messed around with that, we would look at that, and we would condemn it. Muslims aren't free to do that. So you got people like Sheikh Uthman, and they just have to lie. They have to lie about it because, well, your prophet did have sex with a 9-year-old girl, and he is your moral example in Islam. That's Surah 33, verse 21 of the Quran. Muhammad is a wonderful pattern of conduct for you. All right, so that's the one. Closed. But let's see someone, because notice what Sheikh Uthman said in that video. This is something in your Dawah tool belt for when a Christian tries to criticize the age of Aisha. And so you respond by lying about the Bible when they tell the truth about Muhammad. Are you ready for this, IP? I mean, AP? Did I just call you IP? There's too many people with... It makes more sense when I call him AP because I normally interact with you. But that was just weird.
Yeah. But it's an honor to me. No, it's not. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to check out this next clip where a guy does walk up to him and asks him about the age of Aisha and points out that Aisha was 6. And guys, what do you predict? We haven't watched it yet. What do you predict Sheikh Uthman is going to do when he's asked about the age of Aisha? Is he A, going to speak truthfully, or B, lie repeatedly? What do you expect Sheikh Ibn Fibbin to do in this situation?
Or C, put ketchup all over himself and say, I got
they got me. AP got me. All right, here we go.
Factual.
All right?
That Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl.
That is not true.
That's fact.
That's not a fact. You asked me a question.
But I got
all
this. I got this from some
From where?
Muslims.
All right.
Is that a question or a statement?
That's a statement, right?
No, but this I got this. I got this
All right.
information from
So let me
practicing devout Muslims.
Okay,
They
let me-
admitted it.
let me explain it to you. You asked a question, but you need, like, I asked you a question, I listened to you. You asked a question, but you're not listening. Okay. When you say he married a 6-year-old girl, just because a Muslim told you that doesn't mean it's right.
Just because a Muslim told you that doesn't mean it's right. Now that's true. Because notice, gosh, guys, this is so simple. Sheikh Uthman, he's saying, where you got that? Where did you get that from? Because he wants to know, did you read the sources on that? Have you read the sources? Are you familiar with the Islamic sources? Or did you hear it from someone? Because if you heard it from someone, I can say, oh, you heard wrong. That's what he's doing. So he's saying, where you get that from? Oh, I heard it from, but just because you heard it from someone doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
Right. Just a little side note. All right, you ready?
This is so deceptive. I don't even know where he's going from here. I mean, it's very clear in the source that the marriage. But whatever. Yeah, let's go on.
Well, matter of fact, let's just look at the source real quick. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari. Notice the chapter heading: "Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible," which is why they want to see it from Abraham and Isaac and everyone else. Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah, and for those who have no monthly courses, i.e. they are still immature. That's Surah 65, verse 4, which even according to Muhammad Hijab, that refers to, according to Muhammad Hijab, that verse says that you can have sex with a 5-year-old, and it doesn't matter.
Alhamdulillah.
And the iddah for the girl before puberty, notice this is specifically talking about girls before puberty, prepubescent is 3 months. So they don't even have to wait like Daniel Hakikachu. As long as you get, she gets precocious puberty or something like that, then you can have sex with her when she's little. No, this is talking about girls before puberty. As repulsive as Daniel Hakikachu's claims are, he is massively more moral than what his sources actually claim. And then 5133 narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old, and then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. So how old was she? 9 years old. 5134 narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old and consummated when she was 9 years old. 5158, the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha while she was 6 years old and consummated his marriage with her while she was 9 years old. And she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. Notice they're giving you a full timeline. 6 for the marriage contract, 9 for consummation, 18 at death. They're giving you a full timeline of Aisha there. And if you want little details on what it was like living with Muhammad, narrated Aisha, we used to play with dolls in the presence of the Prophet. My girlfriends also used to play with me. When Allah's messenger used to enter my dwelling place, they used to hide themselves, but the Prophet would call them to join and play with me. And then we get the commentary. The playing with dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty.
Alhamdulillah. That's the
And
beauty
guys, I have dozens of these. Sources. And there are many, many more that I do not even have. Again, you're dealing with a couple hundred sources on the age of Aisha. This guy just brought it up. What about, matter of fact, we'll go ahead and rewind it. No, matter of fact, I just got to do this, AP. I can't resist. Since I mentioned that according to Muhammad Hijab, Surah 65, verse 4 says that you can have sex with a 5-year-old. Let's go ahead and just check this out, just so no one thinks we're making stuff up here. But here we go.
If you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal. It would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. In Surah Al-Talaq, chapter 65,
verse 4.
verse 4, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ. وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ. And the ones who had never been pubescent before.
So Surah 65, verse 4 is talking about divorcing girls after having sex with them, divorcing girls before they've reached the age of menstruation. What's that? Prepubescent.
This is what we're talking about when we deal with Islam. We're talking about, in the 21st century, still we're talking about the details of when you can rape a child.
And we're evil Islamophobic bigots for suggesting that.
And by the way, this is very important, yeah? I want all Muslims to be aware of this. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever.
Unless you're Daniel Hikikachu and you think it's okay. Look at these girls. Like, what can look at the girl in the white. Like, what the heck is this guy talking about?
What am I doing
The
here?
girl in the white hijab there. What is this guy talking about?
Not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say?
Wait a
It's
minute,
not
what did you
because
say?
of puberty.
Yeah, let's go back. He's saying puberty, your decision about whether to have sex with a girl or not has nothing to do with puberty.
5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say?
What did you say?
It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before.
Notice the reasoning. Guys, why do you think it's okay to have sex with a girl before she's reached puberty? He gives it. He says, because that verse right there says it. It says you can divorce a girl after having sex with her. And it's even before she's reached the age of puberty. So that case closed. Case closed. That settles it. It's okay to have sex with a prepubescent girl because Allah said it.
You can't go around that.
Oh, you can't go around it.
Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. So if you're a Quran alone, you're allowed to have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds. Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent. One verse. I want one verse in the Quran from the beginning of the book to the end of the book which says that she has to be pubescent. So okay, so that makes it halal from your perspective. From your perspective, it's halal. You know, in the Quran it says, "Hurumat alaykum ummahatukum." It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry.
So just for context, this is he's talking to Quran only Muslim here. And the Quran, he's pointing out that the Quran only Muslim, Muhammad, just to be clear and accurate, Muhammad hijab is not saying that it's okay to have sex with a 5-year-old. He's saying that the Quran allows it, but that because Muhammad hijab also believes in the hadiths, there you have Muhammad waiting longer than, up to 5. So Muhammad waited until she was 9 and so on. So he's saying if you have the hadith, then you would get the idea that you should wait longer than 5. But he's saying if you just go with the Quran, you would conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old or 4-year-old or a 3-year-old or something like that. And so that's what he's pointing out here. And let's go. This is almost over.
Your sister, your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry a prepubescent? I'm looking for one verse that you can say, you pinpoint it and say this is where it says prepubescent marriage or whatever is not allowed. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia, a wife abuse, a severe type of wife abuse.
This is pretty awesome stuff, AP. He's saying, hey, if you just go with the Quran, you'll be steered towards a severe type of pedophilia, not regular pedophilia, severe type of pedophilia. That's not, guys, this is not Islamophobes saying it. This is Muhammad hijab saying, hey guys, if you converted to Islam and all you had to go on was a Quran and you're on an island or something like that and you don't have access to the hadith, you're going to start having sex with 5-year-old girls because of the Quran.
Look at this beautiful dawah, man. This beautiful, beautiful dawah of this guy who was like, the Islam is beautiful, the Quran is beautiful. But if you only read the Quran, then you will conclude that you can have sex with a little child and you can beat her and you beat her to death. But anyway, the Quran is beautiful and so clear. You see,
Yeah, and Yeah, that what you just pointed out there, you can beat her to death. That was the rest of that video. So that was the condensed version. But he goes on in that video to say that if you don't have the hadith to go on, and what you find in the hadith is that you can beat her until her skin turns green, but you're not supposed to beat her as bad as you might beat someone else. And so if you don't have the hadith to go on, you'll just have the Quran saying that you strike them. But he points out the word for strike them is the same word used in striking enemies in battle. And so you'd think you can chop your wife up for getting out of line.
It's a miracle.
This is dawah. It's him doing dawah. The perfectly clear Quran, the book that brags over and over again about being mubin, clear. He's saying if you just go with this book and don't, go with later sources from centuries later, you'll conclude that you can have sex with 5-year-olds and then kill them if they get out of line. Chen here says it's very common in Indonesia that the age of Aisha was 18, even though they knew in Sahih Hadith clearly said 6. They just blindly follow whatever their scholars and leaders say. And that seems to be my experience too. Like Sheikh Uthman could come out tomorrow to all his fans and say, you know what, I've done the math. And Aisha was 487 years old when Muhammad had sex with her. And all his fans would go, wow, she was 487 years old. It's amazing. They wouldn't even question it.
It says here that Muhammad was this and this and that and that.
And I put the age together. Look, it says 4 here. And look, it says 6 over here. And it says 8 over here. And it says 7 over here. And we put it all together. 487. So clear.
Next time, now that you have this in your Dawah toolbox, when somebody comes to you, just tell them this.
All right. So anyway, let's get back to this Sheikh Uthman clip, and then we'll go ahead and start it over since Mohammed Hijab diverted our attention a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So he's challenged on the age of Aisha. And what's amazing, he's going to deny that Aisha was 6, even though we just looked at a bunch of Sahih narrations from Sahih al-Bukhari saying that she was 6. And then he's going to lie about Mary. So let's go ahead and see.
Factual.
All right.
That Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl.
That is not true.
That's fact.
That's not a fact. You asked me a question.
But I got
all
this. I got this from some
From where?
Muslims.
All right.
Is that a question or a statement?
That's a statement, right?
No, but I got this information from
So let me
practicing devout Muslims.
Okay,
They admitted it.
let me explain it to you. You asked a question, but you need, like, I asked you a question, I listened to you. You asked a question, but you're not listening. Okay. When you say he married a 6-year-old girl, just because a Muslim told you that doesn't mean it's right. Let me explain that, because many Christians tell me things that you wouldn't agree with. Like, Christians tell me that Mary wasn't holy and you can't pray to her, but you as a Catholic do. So I'm not going to hold their opinion as fact. When you talk about a fact, you have to look at historic documentation.
Didn't we look at the historic documentation? Didn't we go through it?
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikh Uthman knows this guy hasn't. This guy hasn't looked at the hadith. He heard this from Muslims who are saying it. And then Sheikh Uthman knows he can gaslight the guy.
Didn't study. I have a master's in hadith.
No, I have a master's in hadith, so you should believe me, not these other guys. So Sheikh Uthman has a master's in hadith studies. We have, 200 plus hadiths on the age of Aisha, and he's denying all of them, using and telling this guy why he should just believe whatever he's saying about the age of Aisha.
Historic documentation. Those Muslims didn't study. I have a master's in hadith.
He just said those Muslims didn't study. Did you hear that?
Wow, man.
He just said it. Those Muslims who said that Aisha was 6, because that's exactly what our sources say, they didn't study. I studied. I have a master's in hadith studies. That's how I know about, diacritical marks in the Quran and so on, or dietary marks in the Quran. This guy's like a walking joke, but let's go.
When you talk about a fact, you have to look at
If Fareed comes here, and Fareed has studied the material and writes his own stuff as well. If Fareed comes here and says, no, it is very clear, undeniable that the marriage took place when she was 6 years old. So they got married at 6 and consummated at 9. Will Sheikh Uthman then say, no, he did not study.
He didn't study. Only I've studied.
Only I studied. Listen to me.
People are pointing out. Aiden said, I have a footnote. I found a footnote that says it. A couple comments real quick. Pulsar says, where did he get 5 though? talking about Muhammad hijab clip saying you can't have sex with a 5-year-old. He goes, there is no exact number. That's true. Yeah, he was just using that as an example to shock everyone. Even a month-old toddler is not safe, and many Muslims believe you can use thighs. Very disgusting and disturbing stuff. Yeah, so he's just, notice he can't say, if you just go with the Quran, you would conclude that you can have sex with a 9-year-old, because that's exactly what you conclude based on the hadith. So he's trying to shock the people into pointing out how dangerous it is to just go with what the Quran says. But he doesn't want to say baby, because notice that the Quran doesn't say. It just says you don't have to reach puberty to be married and to have sex. But he doesn't want to say baby because that would be too shocking. So he's looking for somewhere between 9 and baby to shock someone a little bit, but not too much. And so therefore he said 5.
Yeah.
And then Be Happy here says, strike your 4 wives just as you would strike at the neck to slaughter unbelievers. That's exactly what hijab said in the video.
Alhamdulillah, the clear Quran tells us this.
The clear Quran says, strike them just like you strike your enemies.
Beautiful, beautiful.
These are their champions of dawah saying this stuff.
Documentation. Those Muslims didn't study. I have a master's in hadith, so I have studied. Now, I have a video, a link, you don't have to carry it with you, but you can watch it, that explains the historic documentation with books and references regarding this issue.
Al, I haven't seen his video on this. Have you seen his video on this? So he's saying that he has a video.
I don't think so. Maybe a while ago, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it. We might need to go through it. Now, here's what's interesting, because I haven't seen it, but just based on this little clip here, if he's denying that she was 6, then he's obviously not just going with what the hadiths say. So I'm thinking it's probably likely that he's one of these guys who says, oh, if you go to this, you see that Aisha was allowed to watch this battle, and Umar, he wasn't allowed to watch battle until he was this age, and therefore she must have been, or Umar wasn't allowed to participate in battle until he was this age. Therefore, for Aisha to watch it, she must have been this age, and if you calculate this and subtract this and add this, and then you factor in Asma, who was this many years older than her, and you put it all together, aha, she was 18. And not telling his fans that all of these sources that they use to kind of piece together this fictional age of Aisha, all those sources say she was 6 or 7 when the marriage contract was written, and that she was 9 at consummation. So massive deception. So haven't seen the video yet. Be happy if one of you guys knows where the link is, send me the link, and we would be happy to go through there, because these are always based on massive deception. What else would we expect from Sheikh Uthman? But watch what he does now. You ready for this, AP? He's about to blow the roof off this place.
Always ready. I'm always ready.
So if you like to learn, you can watch that video.
No, guys, you can watch this in like masterclass in manipulation. See, if you like to learn, would you like to learn? Are you the sort of person who likes to learn? If so, then you should go watch my video, not listen to what other.
Yeah. And it'll put you at a better state than just...
It'll put you at a better state. You'll be at a higher level. You'll be at a higher level if you just mindlessly agree with me.
If you like
to learn, like my followers.
If you like to learn, just watch this live stream here, and then you will know everything about this issue. Yeah.
You know, depending on some Muslim that you may have met somewhere.
Muslim?
And, I mean, keep in mind, he's throwing everyone under the bus. Ali Dawa, Aisha was 9. Sheikh Yasser Qadi, Aisha was 9. Respected Muslim scholars around the world. To be clear, there are Muslims who can reject the age of Aisha if you reject the sources. So if you're a Shia Muslim and you don't believe in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim and so on, you can reject that claim. This guy's a Sunni Muslim who goes by Sunni sources. Does he know he's lying? In other words, does he actually believe that Aisha was 18 or whatever he's going to say? No, he knows it's a lie. He just believes it's okay to lie, as we're about to see more.
Very high up people that are very high up there.
What if they? No, but what if they studied?
I don't know you, and I know the people that I got the information from.
Okay, so
look at this. He's still challenging this guy's. This guy says he heard it from Muslim scholars, and Sheikh Uthman's going, "What have they studied? What could they have studied? What could they have studied? How about all your hadiths would say it over and over and over again?"
Why don't you watch the video I have?
They're theologians that I got this information.
Right. Where have they studied from? Name a university.
You're asking me stuff I didn't know you were going to ask.
Okay,
me.
so I'll tell you.
I could actually get that information.
Look it up. Look it up. No, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
It's weird in our time,
This is
in our
ridiculous.
society,
I know.
but it
Let
was
me-
totally normal back
Let me ask you. When you go back to the Bible,
There we
Right?
go. Did you catch it? Did you guys catch it? He said in the other video he watched, hey, when Christians bring up the age of Aisha, flip it back on the Bible and be prepared to lie. He didn't say be prepared to lie. He acted like he was giving them accurate information. But what did he do here? He's being challenged on this. And what does he do? Go back to the Bible. Watch this. So let's see what he does.
let me ask you. When you go back to the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Do you have people that were married under the legal age today in the Bible?
When we go what?
In the Bible, historic references in the Bible.
This is so sleazy. This is so
It's pretty
slimy.
bad.
Like, he's supposed to be the apologist, the guy who sets up specifically who has a stand there to answer questions about Islam, and that's what he claims to do, right? He's supposed to be answering all of these questions. He's like, come ask me, and I will answer your question. If you ask me, I will answer your question. And they come and ask him a question. He's like, okay, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about the Bible instead.
Hmm.
Is this how you answer questions? Is this how you address people's speculations, people's concerns, people's? Is this how you present your religion? And then you brag about being truthful and converting people. This is just horrible.
Yeah, and I mean, notice what there's lying every step of the way. It's, oh, this guy's asking you about Muhammad's marriage to Aisha. What does he do? He lies. No, she wasn't 6. Oh yeah, I have a master's, so I know. And if you go to my video, you'll see, she was way older than that. And let me now flip to the Bible so I can lie about that too. It's lying. That's all that happens. Make Peace here said, wow, so Shia can deny it. I think they can. I'm nowhere near as familiar with Shia sources as I am with Sunni sources. I've had people say you get the same thing from Shia sources, but I've had Shias tell me, no, that's not in Al-Kafi or anything like that. So I can't say they can definitely.
I'm pretty sure Shia deny that. And,
yeah. So yeah, as far as I know, as far as I know, I've never seen in the Shia sources a claim that Aisha was 6 when Muhammad married her and that she was 9 when Muhammad consummated the marriage with her. So Shias would be able to deny it. You could, in theory, be a kind of Sunni Muslim who's skeptical of some of your sources and so on. It's kind of harder if you're a Sunni because then you're expected to agree with the Sunni sources and then they have their main ones. You could be a Quran-only Muslim, so you only go with the Quran. You are going to have to explain Surah 65, verse 4. Shias will also have to explain Surah 65, verse 4. But yeah, as far as the people who would... that we could fairly criticize and say, hey, you believe that your prophet had sex with a 9-year-old girl, that would mostly be Sunnis because that's what their sources say. But this is what's disturbing. This guy knows what's in his sources. He knows that there are hundreds of sources on this, and he's just flat out lying because he knows he's talking to someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, with Shia Muslims, it's they don't have the same source, which claims that that Muhammad married her when she was 6 years old. So they don't hold on to that claim. Plus, they also don't. Shia Muslims don't respect Aisha. So they would not trust something that Aisha allegedly said, and which was delivered by Sunni authentication through Sunni authorities. They don't like Aisha. They would not take that as a fact.
Cedric here says, curious whether you both see these changing narratives within the Dawa community extending out to fundamentalist Islamic communities. Yeah, their narratives are always changing. I mean, even on big issues like perfect preservation of the Quran and scientific miracles and so on, and they all come from sort of different groups, and they attack each other. That's why we call things the Dawa wars and so on. But yeah, these things also do work their way out into the communities as well. That's why you got to expose them. The approach in dawah is always we need to deceive people faster than people can expose our deception. And this is the method. If we deceive people faster and more relentlessly than the people are going to expose our lies, we win. That's the method. The method is to deceive people faster than other people will expose your lies. And if you do, you win, because you deceive people until you eventually take over. So what's that mean? It means, no, we have to expose them at least as fast as they're putting out their lies.
Yeah. And this just shows the power of Islam.
The power of Islam. And that's just what's amazing is, you need to believe in this religion. It's the truth. Okay. Why can't you go 10 seconds without lying? Like, why? Explain that if you got the truth.
What about,
anyway, let's do this.
you said when you go back to the
Yeah, if you look at marriage in the biblical sense,
Marriage in the Bible.
if you look at Joseph and his
Child
marriage,
marriage.
how old his bride was.
He just gave an example, Joseph. I assume he's talking about Joseph, the husband of Mary, and not Joseph in the Old Testament. But let's see.
If you look at marriage in the biblical sense, if you look at Joseph and his marriage, how old his bride was, have you studied that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Why don't you look at that before you come and talk about the Prophet Muhammad, first off. Secondly, why don't you...
Mary not an adult?
No, she wasn't.
How old was she?
Mary
About
wasn't
12 according to Catholic texts. Look it
What?
up.
Did you hear what he just said? She was 12 according to Catholic texts.
Wow.
Someone in the chat asked, would this be classified as a logical fallacy? Yeah, this would.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from you could always just lie and stuff like that. That would be bad. But yeah, this is called the tu quoque fallacy. When you're flipping an objection back on the person. Now you have to be careful with the tu quoque fallacy, because there is a concern of consistency, right? If the person asking the question is going to be inconsistent. But notice, it wouldn't matter if 1 million people in the Bible were all child molesters. If you're asking about Muhammad and he's supposed to be the pattern of conduct for all people, you can ask that, and it doesn't make sense to flip it back on someone. But notice what happens. It's, hey, you're criticizing Muhammad for having sex with a 6-year-old. No, I mean, for having sex with a 9-year-old, but marrying a 6-year-old. And he says that never happened, even though that's what their sources say happened. And then his response is to flip it back as an objection. What about child marriage in the Bible? So we're sitting there going, what child? What are you talking about? And he gives his example, and that's Joseph and Mary. So he's claiming, notice, we already saw in the other clip, he lied about Abraham, Isaac, and Rebecca. Lied about all three of them, lied about the Bible, claimed that the Bible says one thing, then it didn't say. He made it up. Well, again, he didn't make it up. He repeated what other people made up. Mm-hmm. But now he's talking about Mary. We respect Mary. We respect the prophet. Really? Is that what you guys constantly lie? Well, let's see what he says.
You come and talk about the Prophet Muhammad, first off. Secondly, why don't you...
Was Mary not an adult?
No, she wasn't.
How old was she?
About 12 according to Catholic texts. Look it up. Look it up.
Guys, whenever Sheikh Uthman, this is just a rule, guys. Whenever Sheikh Uthman says look something up, you had better look it up. Because he says it with the expectation that you're not going to look it up. Like he thinks you're just going to trust him. Oh, if I'm saying look it up, he's going to think it's really there. He does this constantly. Oh, it's there. It's there. Look it up. Look up my footnote. What happens when you actually look up what he says? He gets exposed every time. And that's about to happen right here, my friends. Let's see what he claims.
Look it up.
That's your interpretation.
No. Catholic text. Get the Catholic encyclopedia and look up the age of Mary. Go ahead, look it up. Come back next Sunday.
Wait. He says, go to the Catholic encyclopedia, look up the age of marriage. Is that what he just said, AP? Because we're about to do that. We're about to do exactly that. Oh, yeah. We're about to do that all over this live stream. You ready? Just make sure we all hear this, because this is Sheikh Ibn Fibbin. Maybe he's going to be honest for once. Notice he's saying, look it up, and he's giving a source. Why do they do this? Because 99% of the people who are ever going to hear this are not going to bother to look it up. Let's see what he says one more time. Then we're going to look it up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to look it up in the source that he just gave, the Catholic encyclopedia. Let's go.
Catholic text. Get the Catholic encyclopedia and look up the age of Mary. Go ahead, look it up. Come back next Sunday. I'm here.
No, okay. Well, fortunately, we're here. We're here. Hang on, Catholic Encyclopedia.
I wonder if he ever came back.
Okay. All right. All right. Here, you ready for this? Catholic Encyclopedia.
Always.
This is on the age of Mary. So this is the closest you get. This is the closest you get. Closest you get. From the age at which Hebrew maidens became marriageable, it is possible that Mary gave birth to her son when she was about 13 or 14 years of age. No historical document tells us how old she actually was at the time of the nativity. Notice what they're saying. They're saying it was 12 years and 6 months was considered the bare minimum age. 12 years and 6 months was considered the bare minimum age in first century Israel for a marriage proposal. Therefore, she couldn't have been younger than that. And so what they say it's possible just going with the customs that she could have been young, but there's no historical document telling us how old she was. So again, from the age at, this is the source that Sheikh Uthman said to go to. What does it actually say? Does it say she was 12? No. It says, from the time at which Hebrew maidens became marriageable, it's possible as the earliest that she gave birth to her son when she was about 13 or 14 years of age. No historical document tells us how old she actually was. Why is this relevant? So you can say this is the youngest she could have been. The youngest she would have been allowed to be and actually have a marriage contract, 12 years and 6 months. That was the bare minimum. IP, didn't he actually cite a source that actually went through the data on marriage ages, and he concluded I think he said the average age at which girls were married was like 18 or 20 or something like that. That was the average.
Yeah.
And so, guys, does the Catholic Encyclopedia say she was 12?
Obviously, you were not looking up the real Catholic Encyclopedia because in that case, Sheikh Uthman ibn Farooq would be lying, and that is not possible. Therefore, you're looking this up in the English, probably not in the original Latin. That's why.
Well, we actually have another source to go, because this guy, the guy, Sheikh Uthman's buddy there, buddy who's hanging out with him, actually looks it up in the Catholic Encyclopedia. He goes to the article on Joseph, and we're going to hear this guy flat out lie. I mean, flat out lie. He's learning from the best. He's learning from Sheikh Uthman. This guy's learning how to lie to people, to deceive them. Let's go ahead and finish that clip.
I gotta do some
Excellent.
stuff over here. At the
You want me to give you the video so you can learn, or you just want
Are you
to?
gonna be here next week?
I am, but
Notice he's still doing it. Do you want to learn? Are you the sort of person who
Learn.
wants to learn? If so, then you should check out my video if you want to learn. If you want to, aka if you want to be lied to.
you don't want to watch the
I
video
don't wanna
first.
carry
No,
anything right now.
it's a video on YouTube. You don't have to carry it.
Well, how am I? What do you?
You have YouTube
Oh,
on
you're
your.
saying? Okay.
Yeah, it's my video.
I got you.
Okay, there you go. That way you can have some better. Yeah. Can you put it?
State that at the time of her marriage
Masjid?
to Joseph, Mary
Put-
was 12 to 14 years old, and he was 90 years old.
Oh.
Joseph was 90.
Wait. Did you catch that?
Oh.
That's Sheikh
That's how
Uthman's
we're
buddy.
going.
What?
Guys, did y'all catch this?
Yeah.
He doesn't have the mic on him, so it's a little harder to hear, but let's back up. This guy quotes the Catholic Encyclopedia, the article on Joseph, saying 12 to 14. This guy quotes it, and Sheikh Uthman's going, oh. Wait, ready? Because guess what, guys, you just have to get in the habit of looking up what these sources got, because you're dealing with liars here. Let's back this up.
Some better. Yeah. Can you put it?
And you can see his buddy over there on the side, and he's looking for it. He's looking up the reference.
State that at the time of her marriage
Masjid?
to Joseph,
A little
It's
back
my
up.
video.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. That way you can have some better. Yeah.
accounts
put it?
state that at the time of her marriage to
Masjid?
Joseph, Mary
Put-
was 12 to 14 years old, and he was 90 years old.
Oh.
Joseph
12 to
was
14, and he was 90.
But such
Depends
accounts
on
Look
which
at
are
Sheikh Uthman.
unreliable.
Why don't you look up the Catholic Encyclopedia?
According to
He's saying it again. Go to the
Masjid,
Catholic
Mary
Encyclopedia.
could have been married at about 12.
All right, did you guys catch that? So Sheikh Uthman says, go to the Catholic Encyclopedia. We went to the Catholic Encyclopedia. The Catholic Encyclopedia said there's no historical source on the age of Mary. We don't have one. Based on the customs of the time, she would have had to have been 12 and a half at a bare minimum. But apart from that, she's called a woman. She could be 16. She could be 20. We don't know. We have nothing to go on except for the fact that she's called a woman. But then this guy, he actually quotes the Catholic Encyclopedia saying 12 to 14 and Joseph was 90. And when you got the Joseph was 90 there, that's how you know they're talking about the article on Joseph. And he says, that's what the Catholic Encyclopedia says. She was 12 to 14. Joseph was 90. Are we going to mindlessly believe them? Or should we actually, have we learned our lesson and we're actually going to look up what they say? Let's go to the Catholic Encyclopedia. I feel, by the way, AP, this is just like when the guys, they'll say, the Talmud says this, and we look it up and it's not actually in there. And we say, hey, that's not actually in there. And the people go, what? You're defending Talmud? You're defending. No, I'm responding to a lie, guys. But it's the same thing here. I'll get messages later. What? You're defending the Catholic Encyclopedia? No.
Why are you defending the Catholic Encyclopedia?
At the very least, you want to quote sources accurately. So let's see what the Catholic Encyclopedia actually says here. Here we go. This is from the article on Joseph. It will not be without interest to recall here, unreliable though they are, the lengthy stories concerning St. Joseph's marriage contained in the apocryphal writings. And then he gives a description. When 40 years of age, Joseph married a woman called Melka, or Eska by some, Salome by others. They lived 49 years together and had 6 children, 2 daughters and 4 sons, the youngest of whom was James the Less, the Lord's brother. A year after his wife's death, as the priests announced through Judea that they wished to find the tribe of Judah a respectable man to espouse Mary, then 12 to 14 years of age. Mary was 12 to 14 years of age when they start looking for a respectable man to marry her. Joseph, who was at the time 90 years old, went up to Jerusalem among the candidates. A miracle manifested the choice God had made of Joseph. And 2 years later, the Annunciation took place. So she would have been even older, right? Oopsie.
Wait, that doesn't work. Huh.
Yeah, 2 years later, the Annunciation took place, so she would have been even older. But now notice, here's what they leave out. I mean, they leave out the 2 years later, but these dreams, as St. Jerome styles them, from which many a Christian artist has drawn his inspiration, are void of authority. They nevertheless acquired in the course of ages some popularity and some ecclesiastical right and so on. Notice. They are void of authority. They're stories. They even call them dreams, meaning fantasies. And you go back up to the beginning. It will not be without interest to recall here, unreliable though they are. Saying later people made up stories. And they had an agenda. What people were asking for centuries to come about the Catholic belief in the perpetual virginity of Mary. So the question is, well, why didn't Joseph have sex with Mary after she gave birth to Jesus? And so later on, they came up with stories and they would just say, he was really old and he was just basically taking care of her as a daughter. And so notice, according to these Catholic stories, they never had sex. There was never any sex.
Uh-huh.
And he's just taking care of her because she needs someone to take care of her. And he's an old man. And so, but notice what the Dawa guys will do, because this guy went to this source, which specifically says these sources are unreliable. They're fantasies. They have no authority whatsoever. The same book that says there is no historical source on the age of Mary. They'll go right to the middle of this paragraph and they'll see, tribe of Judah, respectable man to espouse Mary, then 12 to 14 years of age. They'll leave out saying, 2 years later, the Annunciation took place. They'll leave all of this out and just say, you see, she was 12 to 14 and Joseph was 90. And therefore, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia, she was 12 when Muhammad had sex with her. That's the takeaway, according to Sheikh Uthman. The Catholic Encyclopedia says she was 12 when she was married. And we're supposed to respect this. We're supposed to look at this and say, wow, this is how do we convert to this religion that always lies whenever we ask about it?
To be fair, that little helper of Sheikh Uthman, he may be lying, but he might also just be very incompetent and
That's true.
Ignorant and stupid and not understand the context there. Just read whatever he sees first. So
it's also possible that he didn't actually go to the Catholic Encyclopedia. He just went to a Muslim website that's talking about the Catholic Encyclopedia, because that happens over and over and over again.
Yeah. Or he just went to something that Sheikh Uthman gave him. Say, here, keep this reference in case somebody asks.
Yep. And that's dawah, ladies and gentlemen. That is dawah. Aaron Dunn points out one of the main problems here. It's crazy how Uthman denies Aisha's age while going to the Bible to lie about ages that were never mentioned.
I know, that's what I said.
Mary and Rebecca, he's just deflecting. I mean, think about this, guys, because this is the takeaway. We have approximately 200 sources on the age of Aisha, including sources that are their most respected Sunni Muslim sources. Sheikh Uthman wants us to look at those, ignore it all, and just go with his video where he's apparently going to argue that she was older. Then he'll go to the Bible, just completely lie about the age of Rebecca, and lie about the Catholic Encyclopedia, lie about Mary, lie about Rebecca, lie about Abraham, lie about Isaac, lie about Joseph, lie about Mary, lies about all of them, while claiming that he's got the truth and we need to listen to him. It's like, guys, would the truth need to constantly lie?
This is the beauty of Islam.
It's the beauty of Islam. And guys, again, the more you lie, the better you are at lying and deceiving and manipulating, the more popular you become instantly as a da'i. And again, Tate is the only parallel in terms of how extreme this is, because you can have a political candidate, and that political candidate's followers don't seem to object very much when he gets exposed for something. But if the opponent gets exposed for something, they're all over that. So you can have people like that. But this level of, he could lie right to your face and be exposed right to your face 1,000 times, and it would not affect his fans even slightly. This guy who can sit there, oh, look, I've been stabbed, they got me. Oh, but I talked to the police and the police are on it. Oh, the police arrested him. Oh yeah, it's gone to the courts. Oh yeah, this guy's in jail. He's been through courts. He was found guilty. Yeah, he's in jail. And like the actual, lawyers and police can all say, we've never heard of any of the thing this guy is saying. We don't know about any of this. The guy wasn't arrested. No one went to jail. We have no clue what this guy's talking about. It doesn't bother his fans even slightly. Jussie Smollett doesn't have a lot of fans anymore, right? Doesn't have a lot of fans anymore. If Jussie Smollett were to just convert to Islam, they would be defending everything he said right now.
Yeah.
It's wild stuff.
Jussie Smollett.
All right, man. Well, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go with.
Speaking of Andrew Tate, by the way,
what about him?
I have huge stuff. The case file on the whole court case that the prosecution
the case file's empty, AP. Andrew has said repeatedly that the case file is empty. Have you not heard him say that?
There's actually a Tristan Tate video recently where he kind of sadly acknowledges that the recently emerging case file summary is indeed authentic, because it got into the hands of the BBC and they started publishing things about it. But I got the whole case file summary.
The empty case file, okay.
Of the prosecution, which is, by the way, 360 pages long.
360, let's just clarify. 360 blank pages.
Yeah, 360 pages of emptiness.
Blank pages, because there's no case against him.
About all the crimes that they committed, and it's huge. These guys are going down, and I really wonder what people will say once the average, the general public knows everything that is in those case files, because there's so much that we haven't talked about yet, which just
Wait,
came
there's
out.
more? We've only caught this guy in like 700,000 lies already.
Yeah, there's so much, including clear transcripts of Tristan instructing those two girls who work for him to go and rough up and beat up one of the girls and throw her things out, and one of them saying that she just posted pictures of the girl on her Facebook page as a means of basically exposing and shaming her because she was being disobedient, and so on. There's so much stuff in there. Plus, it also mentions the separate ongoing investigation on trafficking minors. And once we bring that up, Jeffrey Epstein, Tristan Tate, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I've seen maybe one or two screenshots from the new document. Yeah, I saw Tristan on there talking about how he's enslaving these girls. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Said he's enslaving them, and he's going to make them work 12 to 14 hours a day and stuff like this, and give him the money. And it's like,
I think he uses some very explicit language and says, I enslave these some things. I don't know.
Yeah.
He uses some harsh language there.
So we'll be checking that out tomorrow on your channel, right?
Yeah, we will do that.
Tomorrow on AP's channel, we'll be going through some of the new blank case files. So that should be a pretty short live stream, since the case file is empty, according to Andrew Tate. And then we're going to be asking a serious question here. Why are people still interviewing him, acting like he's the hero? Because
people are dumb.
It's pretty weird. CM Bradley here says the sources that the Catholic Encyclopedia references are all apocrypha that present Mary and Joe's arrangement as intrinsically non-sexual. There never was any sex, and the later stories, these later sort of fabricated stories, were just based on the idea, how can we explain the fact that these guys never had sex? And so we'll make him an old man and her like basically being taken care of as some sort of foster daughter, and they never have sex. And, you know, the Catholic Encyclopedia said, we don't take these seriously. No one does. No one takes these seriously anymore. Except Muslims. And even then they can't get it right. But notice, guys, if the Catholic Encyclopedia says, hey guys, we have no source on the age of Mary, no historical source, nothing we would take as historical. All we have are some late, basically fabrications to go on. And that's it. And we don't trust these because they're late and they had an agenda. How do you look at that and say, the Catholic Encyclopedia says she was 12? It doesn't even say she was 12 in the passage that you're talking about. But even, you know, you have to massively distort that. But even then it's saying, and you can't take this stuff seriously.
The Catholic Encyclopedia itself is literally telling you very explicitly that this is not to be taken as a fact.
Yeah.
And you take it as a fact.
And yet they all, again, a bunch of their Dawa guys do this. Daniel Hakikachu, in his debate with Inspiring Philosophy, said the Catholic Encyclopedia says she was 12.
This is just so absurd.
Here we have a racist comment from Mark. I hope he's joking. He says, AP is a liar. Just look at his giant nose. But that does seem like the sort of comment that we would get from our keyboard jihadi friends.
It does have a Swedish. He does have a Swedish thing on his profile picture, so I can't blame him. I don't know. I like Swedish people.
Oh, before we close out, let me just say the idea that I had. I'll probably make a separate video on this. But I'm going to recommend. I mean, like, what do we do? What do we do when they nonstop lie? What do we do when they nonstop lie in defense of their religion? Well, I'm not going to advocate that you lie in return. I'm not going to do that. Can't do that. Lying is okay for them because, you know, they worship a God who brags about being the best of deceivers, and their prophet said that war is deceit, and their prophet showed that, yes, deception is good and deception is wonderful, and that's why their Dawa guys think it's okay. We don't believe that's okay. So what can we do in response? Well, I'll tell you what. We have sources that say Muhammad did things that sound very creepy. And when we're in a good mood, we give them the benefit of the doubt, and they insist that we give them the benefit of the doubt on these things. When we're in a cheekier mood, then we don't give them the benefit of the doubt. We just say, "Oh, look at what your prophet did." So what am I talking about here? Well, you got all these passages in the Hadith, a bunch of them, talking about Muhammad walking around covered in semen. You got passages about Muhammad sucking on little boys' tongues and letting little boys suck on his tongue. You got passage where Muhammad pulls up his dress so that one of his followers can kiss him all up and down his side. And the guy's going, "This is what I wanted, O Prophet. This is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted. That's what I dream about."
Yeah, so you've got these passages. You've got these passages about Muhammad wearing his wife's garments. Now, what it actually says is he was in the garment of his wife, Aisha, or in his other wives' garments. So he's in the garments of his wives. And Muslims tell us that, no, when it says garments there, you should interpret this as in their bed or under their blanket or something like that. That's not what it says, but you should interpret that way. Guess what? If you Udawa guys are just going to flat out lie, again, I'm not going to say lie in response, but I will say stop giving your prophet the benefit of the doubt on any of this. Period. In other words, when the most charitable interpretation of Muhammad being covered in semen when he's walking out, and then Aisha would say, "Oh, and I had to stop and scrub him down and scrub all the semen off his clothes and stuff like that because he was heading to the mosque, and then he's walking out. I see even more all over him." Okay. The most charitable interpretation of that is that Muhammad is an absolutely disgusting person who used the garments he wore to go to the mosque to hug it out with his buddies. He used that as a semen rag. He used the exact same garment that he would wear to the mosque, and he would use that as a semen rag after sex. He'd wipe himself off with this, and then put it on, and then go to the mosque. And Aisha's like, stop. Let me scrub some of this semen off you. What's amazing is when I bring this up to Muslims, they'll be like, "Oh, Muhammad was so poor." Like, wait, he's so poor he couldn't afford a rag? He couldn't afford a rag? That's how poor. That's your story. This guy got a fifth of all the war booty, but he couldn't afford a rag to wipe himself off with. He had to use his garment, his good church clothes.
That's why he had so many wives. That's why he needed so many wives, so they can clean off all the semen that he has on his clothes all the time.
Yep.
That's what the wives are for.
You see,
and you blame him for marrying so many wives.
So that's the most charitable interpretation. He's just disgusting. He's not a person you would want to hug because this guy's covered in his semen. That's the most charitable. That's the nicest interpretation of that passage. He's just disgusting. There are other interpretations of that, ladies and gentlemen. There are other interpretations of why this guy's covered in semen. Muslims don't want us going with that. They want us to be charitable in our reading of the text here. Same thing with Muhammad sucking on little boys' tongues. One interpretation is just he had this disgusting practice of sucking on little boys' tongues and stuff like that. And he's nothing perverted about it. He just, look at a little tiny little toddler. Let me suck on his tongue. Okay. So the charitable interpretation is he has a disgusting, unhygienic practice. The less charitable interpretation is he's a pedophile with boys in addition to girls. Muhammad wearing his wife's garments. We could be charitable and say, okay, maybe this just refers to him being in the same bed or something like that. What it actually says is in his wife's garments. So, cross-dresser. That's what you'd get if you're not being charitable. If you just say, okay, I'm just going with what your text says, and I'm not going to go with your understanding of it. I'm just going to go with what your text says. Okay, so he's a cross-dressing, child molesting, doesn't care, boys or girls, molest them all, and is constantly covered in semen because guys are skeeting all over him. That's what happens. Not when we're making stuff. Notice I'm not making anything up here. That's in your sources. I'm just not giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So guys, that's going to be the new rule. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to put it out there. Here are all the issues. I'll give the sources. I'll put all the sources in the video. I'll say, here are the sources. And since they are actively just lying, I mean, flat out lying about people they claim to respect. Hey, we respect Mary. We respect Abraham. And they lie about them. Okay, fine. I'm not going to lie. but I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt on any of this stuff anymore. So now we look at the sources and we go with the most disgusting interpretation we can. And we do not back off of that interpretation an inch until they stop lying. So that's it. They don't, if you tell them to stop lying because lying is wrong, they don't get it. They don't stop. If you tell them to stop lying because it shows that they don't really respect the prophets and so on that they claim to respect, they don't care, because their religion actually is one man. And they think that by worshiping that one man, they've got, everyone else and all the other prophets and God and everything. It's nonsense. Everything revolves around one guy. But since they're going that direction, pointing out that, hey, you claim to respect Abraham, but you call him a pedophile, doesn't work. They don't get it. The only thing they ever get is when this blows back on Muhammad and it turns out badly for their prophet. And so new rule, you guys are going to keep lying until you stop lying and apologize for the lies. There are going to be some issues where we are never backing off of, and we're going with the most disgusting interpretation we can. We're sticking with that until you stop lying. That's going to be the new deal. What do you guys think about that?
Beautiful words, beautiful words. Alhamdulillah. This shows the truth of Islam once again.
Powerful stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we are going to be back tomorrow talking about another champion of the Dawah community.
The best.
Andrew Tate.
The best of the best. Andrew Tate.
All right, we will catch you all tomorrow. And hopefully we are not constantly shifting sizes tomorrow.
Why are you so big again, man?